Hi there, Mike Wolf here, and welcome to another edition of Entrepreneurs Making a Difference, where we interview entrepreneurs from all across the globe in order to connect them and have them collaborate and do just amazing things together. So it's great to have our guest today, Heidi, and her last name is Hornlein, and I'm going to get this right, and she's actually in Italy. And I'm going to read her bio here to start. So she's a native German, but she's now living in Italy for the past 30 years. She has an MA in communication science. She was a professional singer, voice teacher, voice therapist, and now she's licensed in Gestalt counseling and transformative coaching. And she mentions that her approach is feminine power and related stuff related to that. She's also licensed as a transformative leader. She's holding seminars and courses, live and online. And her passion, though, is one-on-one coaching for whatever difficulties people encounter in life, especially regarding relationships. So welcome to the show, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and welcome everybody who is watching us.
Well, that's great. It's great to have you here all the way from Italy. What part of Italy are you in?
I'm in Umbria. This is right in the north of Rome, about 50 kilometers from the borders, from the edges of Rome. So,
oh, nice.
Right in the middle of Italy.
Yeah, well, Italy's a beautiful country, and I love Rome. I haven't been to your specific area, but Rome is just an amazing city.
It is, really, and that's why I was attracted to Rome, because it is so beautiful, but also because I thought Italy would be the country of the opera singing about 30 years ago, and I thought Rome would be that, but actually it's not.
Oh, okay, well, you ended up in a good place anyway, so it all worked out for the better.
Yes, it did, actually.
Yeah, well, that's great. So let me ask you this. You have I'm looking at your bio, and you have a wide variety of talents, obviously. You're doing some stuff that's everything for, you mentioned, singing and counseling and everything in between. So I guess what lights you up in the morning? What helps you get out of bed? What excites you?
You know, I think I have done all these things as a sort of preparation for the life which is beginning just now. And at the moment, what gets me up out of bed is really the idea that I have a task in the world, which I have not yet fulfilled, and that I need to go out and do it. You know, and every day I have something to do. I mean, the day could be much longer than it actually is. And I really work from the morning to the evening, and I'm happy doing it, learning new things, learning how to get my message out into the world, overcoming all the technical fears which I had for such a long time, you know, learning all the stuff with the computer and the programs and how to make videos and all these things. You know, it was really always stopping me, and now I really am excited and I'm doing it, knowing that I have still a lot to learn, but it's really every morning, today I will learn something new.
Yeah, well, I think that's what happens when you have a passion for what you do. It becomes more of a calling. It doesn't feel like a job. It's a calling, and it's something that you just have to do. And you always, when you have that calling, you will always overcome the obstacles and figure out a way to get it done.
Absolutely, because as long as I did what I did as a job, it had not this quality. And now as I do it as a calling, and it's actually not so much a job anymore by means of getting money, but it is really a calling with the confidence that this I need to do, and it will even financially be repaid in the moment when I'm really completely on my path, let's say, a little bit ahead.
Yeah, so with all these things that you've done, and how do you define success? What does success mean to you?
This is different now than it was before. Before, when I was a singer, success was to be applauded after a concert, to earn money, earn a lot of money, and you know, the worth as a singer was detracted of how much money you got for a concert. So this was success before, and also to get new engagements for concerts. Now it is different. Now it is, you know, as I'm doing the consciousness work with people, now success is if I am able to transmit what I have to transmit. And now, for instance, I was in a meeting in Germany where I had a short workshop about different ways of communication. And this is my specialty in this case. And, you know, I really made a difference. People were, they found out something about themselves and about the reason why they communicate in a certain way and why they don't go on, although they try so hard, because there were some, let's say, patterns in their behavior, in their mindset, which they didn't know. And I could show them in very little time, and there was, oh, that's why, you know. And this for me is now success, you know, having made a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, well, I think that's I'd have to agree. I mean, that's probably the thing that lights most people up. They don't know this. They often think of success in terms of monetary and material things, but as time goes on, I think a lot of people realize that making a difference is what really is important, and that you know, so many people find that out, but it takes them a while to discover that because they quite often do measure things in money, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it has also to do a little bit with age. When you are young, you might think you make a big career and get publicity, get a big name and get much money. But the older you get, and I'm about 60 now, the more experience you get, the more you find out what is really important. And to have a lot of money is not so much important. To have money is important if you know, you can help in a way which you can't when you don't have money. In this sense, it is important, but it's not important in itself, and it doesn't say anything about your value anymore. You know, so what is much more important is this, to make a difference in other people's lives. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked a little bit about raising consciousness, I guess both in yourself and in others. Why is this so important?
I think the problems we have in our personal lives and also in the world cannot be resolved simply by actions, because, you know, every action which is not transported by consciousness, without, you know, if you do something for preserving nature, but you don't really believe in it, you do it only because it is a fashion, because your neighbor does it too. And then the first moment when you have the choice, oh, do I put poison on the earth because my crop otherwise doesn't grow, or don't I do it only because my neighbor says this is not good? So you would go back to the old way of not caring for nature. This is as an example. But if you have the consciousness that we have to not use all these chemical stuff anymore, we have to need to come back to a different way of living, to a sustainable way of living in our world. When you have it really embodied in yourself, you can resist the tendency to use chemical stuff. I mean, I speak out of experience, because I have here, for many years I was working in my country around. I have 10 hectares and I did agriculture, and at the beginning it was, you know, a joy, and I thought, really, I want to do all these green ideas about preserving nature, not using this, just hacking the earth. And after 5 years I did all that, I understood why people invented chemical means and other things to help, because it's really hard work. But still, you know, I think the form it has taken in our world now, things like poison in agriculture, there are many other things like nuclear energy and so on. The form it has taken now is just too much. It has gone out of control. And as long as in our mind we still think it's enough to spray the poison on my field so I have a little bit more income at the end of the summer, we cannot resolve that. I mean, people have to raise consciousness to understand the results of their actions. And the results for the world, for others. For instance, in this case, what they are doing to the waters, what they are doing to the bees. The bees are dying, and when we don't have bees anymore, I mean, no fruit. So it is really needed that our lives needs to be seen from much more perspectives. Not only my single perspectives, I need to earn money from that, but we need to open up our minds and gain a broader view on what we are doing. And that's why raising consciousness is so important, you know.
Oh, absolutely. That is so important. And there, you definitely hit on a lot of different moral and ethical dilemmas, and we could talk all day just on that. I'm going to switch gears here for a second. Who are some of your influences? Because I mean, you've had, you went from singing and voice, things like that, to what you're doing now. What kind of brought you into the world that you're at right now? Was there one particular book maybe, or a particular person that influenced you to go that direction?
Yeah, definitely. It was Ken Wilber and the Integral Theory, which I met about 97. And I read the first books, and this was like an illumination, because I thought, finally, somebody gives me the words of things which were somewhere in myself, but I couldn't, it was only a feeling of not feeling well, of contradictions, and how, you know, it was confusion, I would say. The right word is a confusion. And then there was these books of this guy, quite a famous American philosopher. And finally I understood why the world is as it is. And my own life, how it unfolded, I could understand why it went this way, you know, because he is giving us a roadmap of evolution, of development, and also of the different aspects of reality, so that we can be more, not only more open, but we have, with this roadmap, we have the main perspectives on looking on the world. And so, you know, you don't get lost in thinking, for instance, oh, I only have to change the outside things, do a little less of chemical pesticides and something, and everything will be good. It's not, unless, as we said before, unless your consciousness isn't changed, this won't do a whole lot of things, you know. And so the reality, in fact, has four main perspectives. That's what I feel in myself, the inner interior of me. Then it's the we space in my culture. What is going on in the culture? This is really influencing on what I'm feeling inside. And then the outside perspectives, it is the look on what is. You know, the science, for instance, they are telling you things and so on, which is important, but it's not the only importance. It's also your subjective perception and the culture. And then the last one is the institutions. You know, it depends also on what institutions we have, what is real at the moment. And this, for me, was really a mind-opening thing, one. And the other was the level of development, which everybody of us is how do you say, transcorrere in Italian, passing. You begin at a certain level when you are born, and then you have the possibility to reach a whole lot of other levels, and to find out where you are stuck in which level, and where other people are stuck, and what you can do to develop to the next level. This was also a real illumination, you can say, for me. So I highly recommend to read some of these books. Some are difficult to read, some are more, you know, how do you say, profane, more in the language everybody could understand. But this is opening up the mind, and for me it was the beginning of a complete change in mindset, and then in my way of living and of being, and you know, everything changed in that.
Yeah, well, it's always, it seems like almost every entrepreneur I talk to, there's always one specific person or one book that just totally changed how they viewed the world, and all of a sudden they were on a different path. So I love to ask that question and hear what was, you know, everybody's influence. So now I've got a really important question, and this is because you live in Italy, and I've been there, and I need to know, what is your favorite flavor of gelato? Because every time
My
I go there, I
favorite
have 2 gelatos a
gelato.
day.
You know, my favorite place for gelato is in Rome, right in front of the walls of the Vatican, and it's called the Old Bridge. It's a very little place, and normally you can find it out because it's a long queue of people waiting for getting their gelato. And every taste you get is perfect. You get such a big uh, box, not box, bowl, you know, and it doesn't cost much, and it is like heaven. So next time you come to Italy, you need to go there.
I'm going to definitely check that out. And every time I do go to Italy, I put on a lot of weight for some reason. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, this is the problem.
but gelato's even harder to resist than ice cream because it just looks so pretty. I mean, ice cream, I know it tastes good, but it doesn't look like anything special. But gelato always looks so pretty. It's a work of art, and especially in Italy. And so it's I'm heading to the airport. We're just going to cancel the rest of the interview. I'm heading to the airport, and I'm heading to Rome. So
Yeah, this is a good idea to go there.
anyway,
Not everywhere the gelato is good, but there really it's good.
well, I'm going to get back on track here because now all I can think about is ice cream and gelato. But so how do you work with? I know you mentioned that your preference is to work with people on relationships, and so what kind of things do you do with people to help them have better relationships?
You know, we did a retreat about 2 weeks ago with couples, and this was very, very, very intense. So the work we are doing is to find out in which patterns they are. They as a couple, but mainly they themselves, the single person, you know, which beliefs they have about themselves, about the other person, and about the world, about their marriage, about their relationship. And we look at that very deeply, and then there is a way to change these false beliefs when we find out that they are really dysfunctional. Because normally these false beliefs, these patterns are formed in early childhood by a young person who has not really much perspective on life. So we still take it around as adults, and when we begin to understand that these are often hindering us in doing adult decisions, making adult decisions, for instance, or behaving in a way which is congruent with what we really want to be, then we can change that. And then in this retreat, this was the amazing thing that when both partners find these, let's say, hidden realities of themselves, and the other partner is the witness of that, this creates an enormously deepening of their connection. You know, this is the way we are working on it. Not
Yeah,
directly on the connection, but on the own stuff of everybody in front of the other or together with the other person, and then communicate in a different way, learning to communicate with each other in a different way.
right. And do your retreats, they take place in Italy, or do you do them in other parts of the world as well?
No, at the moment only in Italy, in my beautiful home, which is called Paradiso Integrale. It's quite a big house, so I can have about 20 people staying here, and we do it here. It's such a lovely surrounding. You know, we look at the mountains on this side. On the other side, there's the Tiber Valley, and then the mountains further away, and it's just lovely green
That
Italy.
sounds beautiful. Yeah, it sounds beautiful. And so, do you get clients from all over the world coming to visit you, or is it mostly Italians that are coming, or where do your clients come from?
Actually, Italians, no. Italians, I haven't had the possibility to do this work with Italians because there is such a big hesitation. I did several introductory workshops, and people fear. People fear when they change that then their family constellations might change. And in Italy, the family is still so important. So, you know, they just fear that they are alone and rejected by their family. So even if they are very interested, so far nobody did the step to work. In the past, there were quite an international group of women from America, Australia, Sweden, UK, Germany, Finland. Yeah, and the last retreat, there were only Germans and Austrians. So we did it for the first time in German. And this was a novelty. But we are prepared to do these retreats in German and in English. My husband is collaborating. He is American, so as soon as he appears, the language is English. Could be Italian, but Italians don't come, so
they don't show up.
English and German.
Yeah, that must make it really interesting for you, though, meeting all these people from all over the world. That's actually the thing that I love most about doing this show, is we've had people from all over the planet, and it really makes it interesting to meet these people with different cultures and different backgrounds, and to see what they're doing in wherever they live.
Yeah, it is. It's really, and to realize that people who are coming from a different culture really have a different background. They see things in a different way, and instead of fighting against it and thinking that your own idea is the right one, you can really learn to open up and welcome the other perspectives on life, and see the differences, and see which ones you might want to adopt and which ones not. This is it's very interesting. And actually, I had this international encounters before when I did agriculture. I'm in an association which is called WWOOF, Willing Workers on Organic Farms. And so regularly I had people from other countries who were volunteers and helping in agriculture. So I had people from America, from Israel, from Australia, from New Zealand, from UK, from Germany. There were some Italians in between. Yeah, and this is amazing. I feel my home as a meeting point for people. This is, yeah.
I love that. I think that's a really, really cool idea. I love that. So we're unfortunately running out of time, but a couple more questions. So if you could put one message out there to our listeners, to the universe, what would that message be?
To the listeners, it would be: become more aware and conscious of what you are doing, of your decisions, exactly of what you are not doing, what you might need to do. Become more aware of your visions and where you want to go, and align your actions with your vision, with your higher calling. We were talking about calling before. Become aware of what your calling really is, and go all the way it needs to be done. And don't be afraid, because when you're really inside of the mission, you will have the courage to do it. I mean, I'm living that now. Doing this with you as an interview 3-4 years ago, I still would have said, oh no, I wouldn't even have applied for a thing like that, And now I'm doing interviews myself, because I know that this is the way. Otherwise, you die and your message dies with you. But you are on the world to bring it out into the world, what your special talent, what your special message is. And to the universe, the message is, thank you, universe, and continue to help me.
Great words of wisdom. Thank you for that. That was great. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you or work with you, how would they do that, Heidi?
We have a website in English which is called thepowerofrelationship.com, and they can go there, and we have some videos and other also free stuff, some courses there for free, and they can connect with us. And there's also a blog. I'm happy about comments on the blog posts. Yeah, we are also on Facebook with the same name, Mark Davenport and Heidi Hornlein, The Power of Relationship. I have a German site about voice work, integralvoice.de, German for Germany, DE. This is the English pronunciation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are several ways, and just Google me. You find 3 pages of ways to connect with me.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks so much for being here, Heidi. I appreciate you coming on the show, and continued success with all that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, my pleasure. And I also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in today and watching another episode of Entrepreneurs Making a Difference. And we look forward to seeing you again soon in the next episode.